Today we're finally putting our small block Chevy V8 in the rear wheel drive Honda Prelude. I've got here two similar but different GM transmissions. This one here is a T5, which is a 5-speed manual, and this one here is a T56, which is a 6-speed manual. And if you've been watching my videos, you're already happy for me. Hold up, you know what a transmission is, right? There's automatic and manual, but these are the things in the car that when you shift, it actually lets the car move forward. As you can see by the shifters here and here. Okay, but why do I have two of them? You only need one for a car. And that's because I'm a genius. I started with this one here, thinking that it was going to be strong enough for what I was going to be doing. But not only was that an issue, I also didn't have any way to connect it to my engine. The parts that I had didn't even work. They didn't fit on the crank of the engine, and some of them didn't even fit in the bell housing of the transmission. So there was some stuff that I needed to do to figure out how to make this transmission work with my engine, along with the fact that it was too weak and the things that I plan on doing to this car would probably break the transmission anyways. So I was on the hunt for a T56, and my buddy Greg from Modern Garage ended up actually finding one for me. So my wife and I decided to go for a little bit of a road trip. We ended up picking this one up the very next day. We ended up going a little bit further that day, and we ended up meeting one of my day one subscribers, which was an amazing experience. But that's a story for another time. But the T56 that I've been looking for is finally in my possession. Now it came with this flywheel here and this clutch and pressure plate setup. And I've already had this flywheel. This is actually Fred's. I'm just using this just to kind of figure out what we needed. Now let me try to explain exactly what my issue was. First, you need the flywheel, which is these two here are flywheels. They need to connect to the back of the engine. And if I show you where they connect, it goes to the back of the crank right here. And notice this circle here. Well, the hub of the flywheel needs to be bigger to fit over that crank. And for this example, this one is big enough, but this one's too small. But even though this one fits on the crank, the outside diameter is too big to fit inside the bell housing. Whereas this one does fit in the bell housing, but again, the hub size is too small. So apparently there's a flywheel out there that is like a mix of these two, where it's small enough to fit into the transmission and big enough to fit on the hub for my crank. And lucky for me, I have Fred, and he was able to source those parts for me. So here is the new flywheel, and here is the pressure plate along with the clutch is under there. So now we're just waiting on Fred to get here. He's gonna help me, and we're gonna put all this stuff together, hopefully for another time, another attempt. And if it goes well, then we will be dropping the engine and transmission into the car today. I've been waiting for this for so long. I mean, seriously, look at that and tell me you're not excited. All right, Fred's here, and we're gonna start with putting the flywheel on, and hopefully this fits. And if it does, then we'll move on with the rest of it. Well, I stopped filming this part because I knew we were gonna run into something, but we couldn't get the right, well, we just don't have the right release bearing right now. These ones seem a little too sloppy, and I don't really know much about this one, but this one fits better, but still doesn't feel 100%. So we're gonna see if we can find the right release bearing. For now, Fred brings up a good point. Like, this isn't gonna be in the car forever. We're probably gonna have to do some adjusting anyways, but I need this in to get a measurement for the drive shaft and to see where the transmission tunnel is gonna be. So it's gonna be coming out eventually. I think we're just gonna put it all together and drop it in for now, just to see it in at least. Well, unfortunately yesterday we ran out of time. We couldn't get the engine in. I didn't want to upload this video unless this engine was going to be in the car, and luckily Fred offered to come back today and help out, so that's what we're going to be doing. So now I just gotta wait for Fred to get here again, and then you will see a V8 with a T56 in a Honda Prelude. It really is nice looking at that thing finally in the car. And we didn't really get to show you the inside while we're doing that, but the shifter lines up exactly where it needs to. Now, as for the angle that the engine is supposed to sit at with the transmission relative to the car and the rear axle, I still got to figure that out. I think I'm like 1 degree out, which is not the end of the world. But now I can measure for my drive shaft. I can get the new rad in, get the pulleys, get all the rad hoses, start running the fuel, start running the power for the starter, a whole bunch of stuff that I can do now. Today is a good day. That is just so beautiful. That really just looks so nice. I'm gonna say it over and over again. Thank you guys very much. If you guys want to support me, it's super easy. You just gotta click a single button. That's it, that's all I'm asking. Just click subscribe, and then hit the bell and click all while you're at it so that when I upload a video, you get notified right away and you won't miss any of this craziness. This weekend, I'm going to be going to a drift event. Unfortunately, I'm just going to be spectating. Obviously, we're not going to get this thing done in one day, but there is a drift event a couple hours from my house, so stay tuned because that'll be up next week. Thank you guys for all the love and the support, and we'll see you next time.